take a trip to our nation's capital, not too far from where I grew up, to reacquaint myself with the memorials and monuments built to honor the people in this film. In other words, it's a field trip. And I'm glad you're along for the ride. Assuming the old truck makes it.
Come on, come on.
Welcome back. That's a clip from the new film, Something to Stand For, which highlights the most unknown details of the most well-known events and figures in American history.
Yeah, the storyteller in the film is a familiar face that we typically see on our TV screens. And here to tell us more about it, please welcome Mike Rowe.
Take your seats, everyone. Please
Take your seats.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So
Thanks.
what should moviegoers expect to see on the big screen?
It's weird, dude. I'll be honest. It's not a documentary, but it's not a typical production either. There are about 300 actors in this thing. None of them actually speak to each other. They're all there to bring 9 short stories to life that I actually tell from the stage of an empty theater. So you get one story after the next, written in the style of Paul Harvey's old radio show, which you're too young to remember, but it was called The Rest of the Story. So it's a fun way to learn something you didn't know about somebody you do, and hopefully, when the dust settles, think a little differently about our country.
So you mentioned, I have so many questions on the creative process that went behind this. You mentioned it's 9 stories.
Yeah.
But it comes from a huge repository, anthology of other stories. How did you pick those 9? Will there be another one? And what made you decide to tell it in this way?
So I miss Paul Harvey. I miss that classic style of storytelling for the curious mind with a short attention span that worked on radio so well. 7, 8 years ago, I started imitating that style for a podcast I do called The Way I Heard It. I wrote a few hundred of these stories. They did well. Somebody turned them into a book. Then they turned them into a TV show. And for this project, the Fathom Theater event company called and said, look, what do you think about celebrating Independence Day in this style? And I said, I think it's crazy, but we should try. So I selected 9 of the best patriotic stories I could find from this anthology and stitched them together with a last-minute field trip to D.C. And what came out the other end is, modesty aside, it's different, but it will make people want to stand up and feel good about the USA. I promise.
Nice. Oh, that's something we all want to do on the 4th of July, right? Yeah. I want to ask you, because this is so very different from Dirty Jobs.
It is.
Did you ever think, was the plan to make a movie? Like, was that in the back of your head anywhere?
No. My career, such as it is a very Forrest Gumpian kind of trip. You know, Dirty Jobs was a tribute to my granddad, who was a skilled worker and wasn't getting a lot of love toward the end of his life. You know, the skilled trades are on the ropes in this country. So Dirty Jobs was for him. A foundation evolved out of that, a bunch of other projects, and now this. And really, to answer your question, all I've done for 25 years is tap the country on the shoulder and say, what about him? What about her? Get a load of what they're doing. It's really, really simple, but it filled a space that was open. And so if we can take this onto the big screen and achieve the same kind of thing, reconnecting people with work is important. Reconnecting the country with our actual history is critical.
And I'm from Oklahoma. You made a point to make sure that people knew that the film was made there.
Every actor in this thing is from Oklahoma. The crew, 100 people, all from Oklahoma. The idea was simple. First of all, it was money. This is not a Hollywood production, all right? It's great looking, but we had to be careful. So it's a message from the heart, and we shot it in the heartland. And I don't regret a second of it. You come from a great place, by the way.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that.
Where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
You better sing it, man, like you do. All right, one more time for Mike Rowe, everybody. Thank you. And you can check out Something to Stand For in theaters June 27th.